Hello, sports lovers. It's another exciting fight night of boxing. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith ended in the fourth round TKO for Liam Smith. Liam Smith put in a massive performance, but the fight, the card in general was a very good card. Ekwe Suman came out with a victory. Gypsy Joe, Joseph Parker, Richard, and Liam Smith all came out with good victory. But let me focus on the first fight, or the main event, I should say. The fight was a very good one because whilst it lasted, it started with Liam being the aggressive puncher, whilst Chris Eubank Jr. was boxing on his back foot using his jab. His jab has looked very, very refined under Roy Jones Jr., and his uppercut has always been a good one or a good tool in his weapon box. And he used that in the third round. But let me break down the first round. The first round was a kind of jab and go and move for Chris Eubank Jr., but Liam Smith landed the cleaner punches of the two. So I personally gave the first round to Liam Smith. Then the second round was a very close round, but I gave it to Chris Eubank Jr. The third round, that was when I felt my prediction was not going to come through because Chris Eubank Jr. has started landing the uppercut. And what is the antidote to a high guard is the uppercut, because you are able to protect or be safe from straight line punches, especially if you are not moving your head side to side. Then if the uppercut, because Ian Smith is there for the uppercut because he also leans forward with the high guard. So that was trouble. Chris Eubank Jr. landed about 4 uppercuts in the third round. Then I was scared. Chris Eubank Jr. has now found a rhythm in which he was going to operate. So coming out for the fourth round, I felt Liam Smith should be very careful, and you could see that the standing position of Liam Smith changed. He was a bit lighter on his foot, moving his head. Then he forced Chris Eubank Jr. to the ropes. He landed combination, then the uppercut that sent Chris Eubank Jr. down. And from that stage, Chris Eubank Jr. was on wobbly legs. The referee did Chris Eubank Jr. a favor by not stopping the fight immediately. He gave Chris Eubank Jr. the benefit of the doubt, but Chris Eubank Jr. could not take advantage of that benefit. So he ended up being knocked down again, and the referee had to call it off. He did not understand. His ego did not make him understand, but if he goes back and watch the fight, he would accept defeat. I think he was a good sportsman to come to Liam Smith to congratulate him, but you could see that he was hurt, his eyes were swollen. And Chris Eubank Jr., for the first time in his career, a guy with a very solid chin. That was the reason why I predicted the fight would go all full length, because I thought Chris Eubank Jr., though has great stamina, wouldn't be able to finish Liam Smith off. And Liam Smith, Chris Eubank Jr.'s chin has been tested and is solid. So I thought Liam Smith couldn't do it, but Liam Smith proved me wrong. He was able to finish Chris Eubank Jr. in the fourth round in a very decisive manner. And kudos to Liam Smith. The hype job have been stopped. That is what I'm very happy about. Chris Eubank Jr., I don't think has lived up to the standard of his father. Not even talking about his father, about his own pronouncement. Chris Eubank Jr., has lived up to it. Chris Eubank Jr., at a point in time, a proper boxer, calling out a YouTuber just 10 boxer, Jake Paul, which was a very shameful act from Chris Eubank Jr. I don't know who advised Chris to do that call out, but since the Conor Ben fight, in which Conor Ben failed the drug test, Chris Eubank Jr. has marketed himself well. So this fight had a full AO arena. This fight, the AO arena in Manchester, was full to capacity, and Chris Eubank Jr. put in this shady performance. Kudos to Liam Smith. Chris Eubank Jr. has a rematch clause, and I think his ego will make him trigger the rematch clause, and that would be in Liverpool, if God permits, somewhere in August, I think. But Chris Eubank Jr., he can come back again. He needs to learn. He needs to be committed to the game. He needs to stop that KFC BS and all those. I'm at 50%. If if he was truly at 50%, then he needs to work hard and get to 100%. All those crap needs to stop. He needs to focus more on boxing than the outside shenanigans. Those are quite important, but the most important thing is putting in the work in the ring. And those of you, if I've not, I don't know if I've talked about my episode about Chris Eubank Jr. That is popping up now. You can click and watch after this one, but please do me a favor by subscribing to Mesports TV. Now, the Eko Esuman and Chris Congo fight was a very exciting one. Chris Congo lost his legs in the latter stages of the fight, making Eko Esuman come into the fight and winning the last 3 rounds, and those were the decisive rounds. Those last 3 rounds in which Chris Congo lost made Eko Esuman won the fight, but Chris Congo can come back. He has 2 losses, but he can come back. He is a very decent boxer, but he needs to improve on his stamina. He needs to keep up the pace throughout the 12 rounds. The engine showed that he is a workaholic, and that was why he won the fight. Now, Gypsy Joe and Jack Mason, it was a very good fight. But I was a little disappointed in Gypsy Joe. I think Joseph Parker should have pressed the action more. He should have been a little bit more aggressive. He should have stopped Messiah in his tracks, but they went all full 10 rounds. Then Richard did a short job. Then the main event, in which was an exciting one. I predicted the win for Liam Smith, but I just did not think of a knockout. And even if there would have been a knockout, I was anticipating the later rounds. But Liam Smith showed that he is a top-level operator. He has faced better opposition. This is what happens if you have not faced quality opposition, but yet you believe that you are at the top. You have to show it. You have to experience it in order to know it. He who feels it knows it more. Forgive my voice, but Chris Eubank Jr. has been living in the paradise he has created for himself, that he is a top-level boxer, whilst he has not faced top-level boxers in their prime. The only time he did that, he has fallen short. That is Billy Joe Sanders. Billy was not even in his prime. They were both at British level as at that time. Billy Joe Sanders beat him. Then George Groves, when he moved to super middleweight, was beaten at a point with one hand. Then Liam Smith now. So this tells Chris Eubank Jr. that there is a lot lost in his game, and he must do well to find it. If he has been working with Roy Jones, who has improved his jab and has improved his boxing backwards, but he needs to have the winner's mentality. It is not about just feeling you can win. It's about having the mentality, and Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't have it because he hasn't faced the best of the best. He hasn't gone through the mill. He hasn't been tested. And the first time the fight was brought to him, the aggression was increased. The heat in the kitchen was turned up. Chris Eubank Jr. came crumbling. For the first time, Chris Eubank Jr. was knocked out. Kudos to Liam Smith and his brothers. Good, they have shown that they come from a good heritage of boxing. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed, please do subscribe. Press the post notification button. Then like, comment, and share. But I think another hype job that would be stopped next week is Arthur Beterbiev with his coach Tunde saying all manner of things. I think Anthony Yard will be stopped brutally in the 6th round. Expect that video on Monday morning on my channel. So come back for more on Mesports TV, and you can watch the Chris Eubank episode in the description box. Thank you for watching. Stay positive. Au revoir. Bye bye.